Okay, so good day everyone. Our topic for today is Chapter 8, Communicating for Service. So this is under Total Quality Service Management in the hospitality and tourism industry. So for the learning objectives, at the end of the chapter, students will be able to first, understand the importance and uses of information to hospitality organizations. Next is explain the impact of the internet on communication with customers and employees. And lastly, understand the hospitality organization itself as a large information processing system. So these are the learning key points that you should be able to acquire at the end of our discussion. So moving forward, first is let's define what is communication. So when we say communication, it is the art of transmitting information and ideas of a person to another. So to simply explain, so when we say communication, these are the information, the thoughts, the ideas that we are trying to um, transfer from one another. So for example, in the hospitality industry or in the tourism sector, you are working in a hotel and you receive a complaint from one of your guests. So the information that you acquired from the guest complaint, so you're going to transfer it to the designated department or to the concerned department. So for example, a guest complains about a broken shower or a broken faucet inside the room. So, kanino nyo siya ita-transfer? So, you're going to transfer the concern or the information to the maintenance department. So, that's how communication works. Okay, any question? Alright, so moving forward, communication is also a meaningful interaction among human beings. So, from our day-to-day lives, from our day-to-day works, we are having an interaction or we are having um, a relationship among our peers. So meaning, when we are communicating our thoughts, our ideas from one another, so we are having an interaction as well from the people we are talking to. Okay? So moving forward, communication in the hospitality industry. So in the hospitality industry, it is the cornerstone of delivering exceptional guest experiences and smooth operational functionality. So this is true class. So communication is one of our main aspects in the hospitality industry because we have a chance to talk with different people from time to time. So hindi naman natin provide ng maganda or maayos yung mga services and products that we are offering to our guests without communicating with them. So for example, our guests are inquiring about the facilities of our hotel or inquiring about a certain concern like ticket booking, refund, so on and so forth. So, doon papasok yung communication because you're going to explain the standard operating procedures of your organization. So, hindi naman pwedeng pag nagtanong yung guest natin, hindi natin sila sasagutin or hindi natin ibibigay yung mga ideas or informations na kailangan nilang malaman. That's why communication is a must in the hospitality industry in order for us to deliver excellent quality to our guests. Also, it encompasses a wide range of interactions from front of the house dialogue with guests to back of the house coordination among staff. So, we already tackled what's the difference between front of the house and back of the house. So, when we say front of the house, these are the employees or the Department of Hospitality and Tourism sector who are facing the guests or who are interacting directly with our guests. While back of the house, these are the employees or the department of an organization wherein doing the works or the actions not seeing by the guests all the time. Though meron silang little interaction with the guests, but most of the time, ang interaction nila ay from the front of the house employees. So, according to this, yung communication from front of the house to the guest to the back of the house are very important. Kasi nga, so front office people or front of the house employees are the one who are listening, who are acquiring the informations or the concerns of the guests, and then they are the one who are transferring that information or that concern to the back of the house for coordination. So for example, you are working in a front office department and one of your guests complains about noise inside their room. So as a front office staff, you're going to do is you're going to transfer that concern to the housekeeping department or to the maintenance department or to whatever department is concerned. Okay? Next is, it's about exchanging information but also building relationships, understanding guest needs, and ensuring an effective workflow within the hotel team. So, as mentioned nga kanina, it is about exchanging information. So, hindi pwedeng when you communicate something to another department ay wala silang feedback or wala silang reply. So, it should be a two-way interaction. Okay? And it builds relationships among your colleagues or employees because having communication with one another builds relationship and trust. Meaning, you are sharing a lot of ideas and information that makes your organization or yourself to become develop or grow from time to time. So, next is understanding guest needs. So, in order for us to acquire the needs, preferences, and wants of our guests, we have to communicate with them. Kailangan natin silang tanungin. Kailangan na tayong mag-prospecting. Kailangan nating mag-inquire. So, hi ma'am, how are you? Do you need something? How's the food? How's your stay? So on and so forth. So, you have to communicate with them in order for us to give them exceptional service. Okay? And communication ensures the workflow of the operation. Kasi when we are having communication, we are transferring the informations that needs to be transferred to the concerned department for a strategic action or for a common solution. Okay? So that's how communication works in the hospitality industry. Next is informing the guest. So as mentioned, communication is a must. Communication is very relevant in the hospitality industry because we need to inform the guests from time to time. We have to communicate with them. We have to dig deeper about their needs, their preferences, their wants, so that we can deliver an excellent service and an excellent products to them. Okay? So, moving forward, there are types of communications in the hospitality industry that we can do in order for us to exceed the expectations of our customers and deliver a highest quality standards that they are expecting from the products and services that they are availing or acquiring. So, these are the following. So, first is the verbal and non-verbal communication. So, this is very self-explanatory, but for the benefit of the discussion, we have to explain it one by one. So, when we say verbal and non-verbal, so, pag sinabi nating verbal communication, it is the use of words to share information, and it is also the most used type of communication in hotels. So, verbal meaning you are communicating with the guests or with the colleagues or within the organization using words. So, for example, hi, good morning. Hi, ma'am. How are you today? So, there are words who are coming out or that are coming out rather from your conversations. Okay? Verbal. Okay? Next is non-verbal communication. So, when we say non-verbal communication, it is the use of movement. So you are not talking, but you are delivering or you are having communication with someone else using your body language, using the tone of your voice, using eye contact, the intonation, the facial expression. So, for example, ng non-verbal in a hotel, when the guest enters, you smile. Okay? Wala kang sinasabing salita, but from your body language or from your facial expression that you smiled, ibig sabihin, it delivers or it portrays na you are welcoming them. Okay? Another example is eye contact when you are talking with your guests. So, ibig sabihin, it portrays na you are attentively listening to them. And you are really focused on what they are trying to explain or they are trying to say. Okay? Body language. So, when we are seeing our colleague from the corridors or when we are communicating with them in the lobby. So, without words, but through our body language, halimbawa, tumatango tayo or nagsismile tayo or nagnanad tayo. So, yun ay mga example of non-verbal communication. Wala kayong sinasabi, but through your actions, nakikita nila kung ano yung gusto nilang iparating sa kanila. Next is formal and informal communication. So, when we say formal and informal communication, pag formal communication, it is to get the information across in a professional business manner. So, ibig sabihin, you are not using mga words na sa Tagalog, yung mga balbal. So, for example, ng formal communication, good morning, ma'am and sir. It is my pleasure to meet you today. So, those are professional manner. Wala yung mga hoy or pare or gar. So, those are not necessary for a formal communication. So, it should be always in a professional business manner. So, you use Mr., Miss, Ma'am, Sir, so on and so forth. Next naman is yung informal communication. So, yung informal communication, it depends kung paano siya ginagamit within organization. Usually, it is a casual conversation between your co-workers. However, it depends pa din sa company or sa organization where you belong. So, kung kayo, for example, when you are having a lunch break in the canteen or in the cafeteria, so that's a casual conversation. Hindi nyo naman na kailangan maging formal na, sir, good morning. It is my pleasure to welcome you in this cafeteria. So, ganon. So, hindi naman na kailangan na ganon. So, casual conversation. Sir, tara, lunch tayo. Or ma'am, kamusta ka? So, kumain ka na ba? Anong ulam mo? So, okay yun, yung mga ganon. But, again, informal communication depends on the nature of your organization. So, not all of your co-workers can be communicated by using a casual conversation, especially your bosses or your superiors. So, kailangan mo pa rin alamin or tansyahin kung paano mo siya gagamitin. But, when we are facing on our guests, hindi pwede natin silang ituring na tropa or usual people because we consider them our guests. So, dapat formal yung communication natin sa kanila. Okay? Next is horizontal and vertical communication. So, when we say horizontal communication, it is a communication between individuals, teams, groups within same hierarchical level. So, in simple terms, yung pakikipag-usap natin sa kaparehas natin ng level in the company. So, for example, parehas kayong rank and file, parehas kayong front office assistant. Another one is parehas kayong supervisor, parehas kayong manager. So, the type of conversation that you are doing ay horizontal because you are belong within the same levels. Okay? Diba? Pansin natin, kapag sa tingin naman natin na yung katrabaho natin or yung kausap natin ay within our same level. For example, kayo, magka-classmate kayo, magkakasama kayo in one section. So, you are on the same level. So, ibig sabihin, you are conversing or you are talking with each other in the same manner. Okay? But, for example, pumasok yung professor nyo or yung instructor nyo in a classroom. So, ang tawag na natin doon ay verbal communication. So, I am just giving you an idea on how it works in the classroom setting so that you can understand it easily. So, vertical communication na yan because you are in a different level na. Student, professor, interaction. Diba? Iba naman tayo kung paano tayo makipag-usap sa mga instructor natin or sa mga professor natin. Unlike kapag kausap natin yung mga classmates natin. So, same with the organization. When we say vertical communication, employees who have different levels communicate with each other differently. Okay? So, for example, ikaw, rank and file ka, assistant, front office assistant, or bawa, cabin crew, new cabin crew ka, tapos yung person or yung head cabin crew mo. So, magkaiba kayo ng conversation. Okay? Or magkaiba kayo, yung communication types nyo is vertical because head cabin crew versus new cabin crew, so you are on a different hierarchical levels. Okay? Next is written and visual communication. So, very simple. When we say written communication, it involves in writing emails, text message, typing, so on and so forth. Kapag naman visual communication, so ito yung may mga ito. As you can see today, images, graphs, videos, and other visual displays to get the message across. Okay? So, what is an effective communication? So, if I will ask you, for you, how can you say, or how can you tell that you are communicating effectively? Okay, so I'll be giving you a minute to discuss it with your peers. Alright, so, paano ba natin masasabi na ang communication ay effective or mabisa? So, una class is, it is a two-way. When we say two-way, you are interacting with each other. Ibig sabihin, you are both listening with each other. Attentive kayo. Bawa, nakikipag-usap ka sa may kaharap ka, kausap mo siya, and she is listening or he is listening and nagbibigay siya ng reactions or feedback, then that's two-way. So, effective siya because you are interacting with each other, nagkakaintindihan kayo. But for example, ba, minsan meron tayong ganitong scenario, yung may sinabi ka dun sa kausap mo pero hindi niya na-absorb or hindi siya nag-response. So, ibig sabihin, hindi effective yung communication kasi walang response, walang feedback, and hindi niya naintindihan kung ano yung sinabi mo. Okay? So, it should be two-way. It involves active listening. So, nakikita mo na siya ay nakikinig sa'yo. Meron siyang eye contact, nagnanad siya, nagre-respond siya. So, meaning, the communication is effective. Okay? Next is, it utilizes feedback. Halimbawa, may tinanong ka, tapos nag-react siya or sumagot siya, then that's an effective communication. Ibig sabihin, na-receive niya yung message mo. Naintindihan niya yung message mo. Pero for example, nagsalita ka, tinanong mo siya, pero wala siyang sagot or hindi siya nag-feedback sa'yo, then that's not an effective communication. Kasi baka hindi siya nakikinig sa'yo. Or baka hindi siya nakafocus. Meron siyang ibang bagay na binibigyan ng attention. So, kaya hindi siya nakapagbigay sa'yo ng feedback. Then, that's not an effective communication. Next is, it is clear. Malinaw, naiintindihan. So, for example, in an organization, you are the supervisor, you ask your subordinates, tonight, kailangan natin malinis lahat ng mga pendings natin. Dapat 8 p.m. cleared na siya or okay na siya. So, malinaw. All of the informations that they need to acquire and follow are clear so that they can do the task effectively and efficiently. Pero halimbawa, manager ka, sinabi mo, gagawa tayo ng business proposal ha. Yun lang yung sinabi mo, deadline mamaya. Pero hindi mo naman sinabi ano yung details, para saan yung proposal, sino yung involved, ano yung objectives. So, that's why your co-employees or your subordinates cannot function well kasi hindi mo sila binigyan ng tamang direction. So, your communications with them is not effective kasi hindi nila naintindihan yung pinapagawa mo. It achieves one or more goals. So, merong at the end of the tunnel, meron kayong end goal wherein na-achieve nyo siya or na-acquire nyo siya, nakukuha nyo siya. Kasi nga, when the communication is effective, everybody listens, everybody understands, everything is clear, then people will function well and efficiently and effectively. And then at the end of the day, if those communications are clear and effective, then ma-achieve nyo yung objectives nyo or yung goal nyo at the end of the day. Next, barriers to communication. Ano ba yung mga humahadlang or yung mga challenges natin in order for us to communicate with our peers or with our organizational subordinates? So, for example, language. Magkaiba kayo ng nakalakihang lengguwahe. For example, is your hotel is an international hotel. So, most of your co-workers are foreigner din. So, magkakaiba kayo ng jargons na ginagamit or mga terms. So, for example, sa Europe, ang comfort room sa kanila, water inlet. or Lu. So, you cannot understand with each other due to language barrier. Another example is elevator. Sa atin, ang elevator yung tawag natin, pero sa iba, lift. So, it depends. That's why nagkakaroon ng barriers to communication because of language. Next is values and beliefs. Magkakaiba tayo ng paniniwala or ng nakasanayang gawain. That's why nagkakaroon tayo ng commotions or hindi pagkakaintindihan in our communications. Next is sex or gender. So, when we say sex, male, female, gender, ito yung tawag dito, other categories. So, syempre, iba ang thinking ng male sa female, iba yung what do you call this, their perception, so on and so forth. Age. So, mas yung bata, di ba, nagkakaroon nga ng challenges, especially in the organization na sinasabi ng mga baby boomers na yung mga Gen Z or yung mga millennials, ang bilis nilang masyado tayong proactive or nagrereklamo, ganyan, or hindi tumatagal sa trabaho. So, something like that. So, age, as we age, we develop maturity and preferences as well dun sa mga perceptions natin or the way we communicate. Kung dati, nung bata ka, ganito ka makipag-communicate sa kausap mo, basta na lang, or lagi kang nagjo-joke, or everything is a joke to you, but as you age or as you mature, nag-iiba yung way of communication mo. Economic status. Diba? When we say economic status is iba yung perception or yung point of view ng mga taong hindi ganon ka privilege sa buhay versus yung mga tao na pinanganak na merong golden spoon. Diba? They are communicating differently kasi iba naman yung nakasanayan din nila. Next is educational level. Diba? Nowadays nga, ang daming na, yung trending ngayon, yung naloko sila ng fake news kasi nabasa nila on the internet na ang Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas ay magbibigay ng 1 million pesos sa mga pupunta sa office ng BSP. So, yung mga matatanda and yung mga illiterate or yung mga person na hindi nila naiintindihan na yun ay fake news or hindi nila ma-distinguish yung totoo sa hindi. So, pumunta sila doon. So, imagine the damages or the effort that they exerted for the sake doon sa nabasa nilang fake news na yon. So, dapat when you are sabi nga nila, the higher the educational level, the more wider daw yung knowledge. But it still depends on how people think about different things. Okay? Next is timing. So, baka yung kausap mo, bad trip pala or galit pala, tapos ikaw, joke ka pa rin ng joke. So, magagalit siya lalo. Or another naman, ay yung kliyente mo or yung client mo, galit kasi kinain yung ATM card niya, tapos dun mo sasabihin sa kanya na meron pa siyang additional charges na hindi niya naman alam kung saan niya na-avail yun or na-acquire yun. So, magkakaroon ng conflict or ng gulo. So, proper timing is a must din in terms of communication. Communication in service quality, what are the 5 elements that you need to take in consideration? Una, what are we going to communicate? Ano ba yung kailangan nating i-discuss? Ano ba yung informations na kailangan nating i-transfer doon sa persons involved? Okay, what? Okay, what are the informations that we need to disseminate or to transfer? Next is, when are we going to communicate it? Kailan natin siya sasabihin? Kailan natin siya ipapaalam? So, may bagong memo ang inyong Director of Operations. So, kailan nyo yun i-release? Kailan nyo siya sasabihin doon sa mga concerned employees? Okay? Who is the communication aimed at? Sino ang target noong topic na yon or ng memo na yon? So, for example, naglabas ng memo na bawal nang dumaan ang mga employees sa main door. So, sino-sino mga employees ang bawal dumaan sa main door ng hotel? Okay? You're going to communicate it kanino or para kanino siya. How will you communicate it? Verbally ba? Via email ba? I-memo ba siya? Magpapamiting ka ba? So on and so forth. And lastly, who will communicate? Sino ang magsasabi? Okay? Sino ang mag-i-inform? Kanino manggagaling ang information? Okay, so these are the communication in service quality na kailangan yung i-take in consideration when you are disseminating or forming an information. Next is best practices for effective communication in quality management. So what are the strategies that you need to take in consideration in order for you to give a quality services to your customers? First is you clearly define quality policies and procedures. So please be reminded that every organization have or has different quality policies and procedures. So you as part of the organization, especially the head of organization, should clearly define these policies and procedures about quality. Kailangan lagi kayong merong strategy, paano nyo ma-make sure na yung empleyado nyo, yung mga stakeholders nyo, ay naiintindihan yung mga polisiya na to na dapat nilang sundin while they are part of your organization. So, paano mo siya i-communicate? Are you going to have a training? Meron ba kayong monthly gathering to explain these policies and procedures? So on and so forth. Next is use clear and concise language. Ibig sabihin lang nito, when we are communicating, hindi naman natin kailangan gumamit ng mga highfalutin words, yung sobrang lalalim na salita para lang mag-explain dun sa kausap natin. As simple as possible, as clear as possible, as concise as possible, that's the best thing that we can do. And iwasan din natin gumamit ng mga technical jargon. So for example, kausap mo yung isang guest, sabi mo, ma'am, may Staphylococcus aureus po kasi na nakuha dun sa pagkain nyo, that's why sumakit po yung tiyan nyo. Hindi naman siya in medical field, hindi naman siya food technology, hindi naman siya professional food dietitian. So, hindi niya alam yung Staphylococcus aureus. So, ibig sabihin, you do not need to use those jargons. Another example ay, ma'am, ilang packs po kayo? So, packs or passenger, ginagamit natin siya. Aware tayo because we are part of the tourism and hospitality industry. But those travelers, for example, those people na hindi naman yun yung field of work nila, hindi naman yun yung field of specialization nila, so you do not need to use packs. You use persons or you use passengers. Okay? So, participants or something like that. So, don't use technical jargons because when you use technical jargons, hindi nila yun maiintindihan and magkakaroon kayo ng barrier sa communications nyo, lalo kayong hindi magkakaintindihan. Next is provide training and resources. So, this is crucial in an organization. You have to make sure that you train and provide equipments, machineries to your employees in order for them to communicate well, not only with the guests, but among all of the stakeholders of the company. Encourage open communication. So there are some instances na there are organizations na hindi sila marunong makinig within their employees, especially kapag meron sila mga ideas, opinions, hinaharang nila agad yon. That's why nagkakaroon ng miscommunication and ineffective communication. So, ibig sabihin, nagre-reklamo or hindi nasasatisfy yung mga empleyado because the things that they are voicing out are not important in the management. That's why the management or the higher ups should encourage open communication within the organization. You allow your employees to voice out. You allow your employees to address issues in the organization. You allow them to share their ideas, their thoughts during the meeting so that you can also empower them to talk about and create decisions for your organization. Because when you have an open communication, mas madali yung masosolve yung problema. Kasi when you are dealing with those problems, then the employees will feel that they are well taken care of, that they are being listened, and they have a voice in the organization. And lastly, you have to regularly review communication process. So, for example, yung feedback in terms of transferring informations from one department to another. Lagi na lang delay yung pag-transfer ng information. Ano bang mali dun sa proseso? Sino ba ang may mali? Ano ba yung kailangang ayusin? May problema ba sa mga equipment kaya hindi nare-receive agad yung email? May problema ba sa mga telephone lines kaya laging busy yung network? Or may problema sa communication process ng mga employees kaya nagkakaroon ng miscommunications in transferring of information? So you continuously seek feedback from your employees and suppliers in order for you to enhance the communication process of the company. And that's the end of our discussion.